Okay, today's going to be a bit of a one-off, and if it's just going to be a one-off, this is going to be one of those a filler episode, if you will. But before we get into that, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because I need to be better at remembering when and how to shill this wonderful game that I'm making. So, this is going to be a one-off. And what we're going to do is we are going to take a staple card that has been very famous in the Magic the Gathering world. And this card, well, group of cards, to be honest. This is a group of cards that we are going to combine kind of into one um, one actual thing because they all generally do the same thing. And these cards are part of what's called the Power Nine. And if you don't know what that means, it means that we're going to be making the Mox. Now, what that if you don't know what the Moxes is, well, let me show you. That's a Mox. That is the Mox, an Emerald Mox, if you will. It, except it's an artifact. You're seeing that correctly. That costs a 0 up here, and you tap it, and you get land. It's a land you can play on the turn it was played. That's an artifact, and it's this confused people because the Moxes are because okay, you're supposed to only play one land a turn. That's part of the rules. But when you throw in other artifacts that can essentially be lands, that janks with the power dynamic. Now you're getting two lands a turn instead of getting one land a turn. That in something as insignificant as that bump could is literally a game-changing experience. So when the Moxes came out, they became part of what is known as the Power Nine, which basically said you're banned and we're never printing you ever again until we decide to reprint you because we're lame and gay and we can't make our own shit anymore. So we have a Mox Emerald, we have a Mox Jet, we have the Mox Pearl, and we have the Mox Ruby and the Mox Sapphire, all five colors represented. So that's what we have there. Now let me see if we can move things around a bit. Give me one moment. So what are we going to do when it comes to the Mox? From whence do we draw inspiration? Well, there have been other Moxes, but by far the most, shall we say, the most generalistic one is going to be this baby, the Mox Diamond. Uh, Pretty much as old as all the other Moxes. And it says when the Mox Diamond comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice Mox. Basically, it says no, you can't. You basically can't play two lands in one turn, but we're going to give you any color you want with this artifact. Fine, whatever. Nothing stopping you from having three lands in your hand, by the way. I'm just saying. If you had three lands in your hand, you'd be playing two lands that turn, regardless. Anyways, I'm being I'm being a nerd. Anyways, so how do you turn? But what makes the Mox? How do you make a Mox in the Shades of Dominion? What does that look like? Because in the Shades of Dominion, you have shade vessels from which you sip from, and after you sip the shade from your vessel, the shade enters into the shade mage, and the shade becomes stained. And so that's our equivalent. The dynamic between the realm itself to the shade vessel to the shade mage. That is how we represent the land mechanic, the playing a land, tapping it, getting power from the land is it's instead it is the shade and it's through the shade vessel. So how do we recreate the Mox for the Shades of Dominion? It's a very good question. And I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but I do have a few, shall we say, test cases, a few possibilities. You could, for example, um, so what is this object? This is, say, an amulet. So this is a utility. We'll just say a utility item, the Mox. But what does it do? As you can tell, all of them require exhausting. So obviously, or tapping in Magic the Gathering terms, but in the shade we call it exhaust. So what does it automatically do? Like what is it? And here's the thing: the Moxes are also later in the game. They're not just surrogate lands. They're land buffers. So you can tap a Mox and still have access to all of your lands. So that's another thing that the Mox does in terms of gameplay, and it's something that I feel should be carried over in roleplay. This isn't something that drains your Shade Vessel. This is something that is a buffer between the Shade Mage and their vessel. So, um, how should we do this? So, exhaust, and how I'm going to, because Mox is such a large category, because it is literally all the things, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a single Mighty Mox. That just sounded funny. A Mighty Mox. So, we know that the Mox has to be exhausted. It has to be tapped into to harness this power. And so we're going to, very much like the Mox Diamond over on your left, we're going to make it general. We're not going to make an individual Mox for each individual dominion. We could, but I don't want to. If I could knock down 5 of the Power 9 in one video, I'm going to do it. So we're going to make the Mox, as in the Mox Diamond, as in something that uh, is all of the Moxes at the same time. They still function the same role. Exhaust. Exhaust the Mox. Okay? So after you exhaust the Mox, add to your shade pool which is essentially the same thing as a mana pool. You generate shade after your sip and stain, and whatever you generate is in your shade pool that you can use to cast spells. Stained shade of the number and type. So yeah, here's what we're gonna do. Add to your shade pool a the number, the amount. Oh my gosh. Add to your shade pool the amount of stained shade yeah, I'm not. Hmm. No, there's nothing wrong here. I just did this completely ass backwards. So add to your shade pool Add to your shade pool the amount of shade. Add to your shade pool the amount. See, this is what's hard about this process is what you want it to do. That's not hard. The the problem is getting the wording right and being mechanically sound as you do it, and that takes a little more effort than uh, than you think. I'm just gonna vomit it. The amount of shade. Add to your shade pool the amount of shade equal to your shade score for each dominion. For each, yeah, that might be it. Add to your shade pool the amount of shade equal to your shade score for each dominion. That's it. That's it right there. Um, See, that wasn't too hard. And this is the mox for pretty much everyone. If you have a shade score of 5 in corruption, the mox will give you 5 corruption shade. If you have a shade score of 3 and 3 in vitality and aether, then you're going to get 3 aether and 3 vitality every time you exhaust the mox. Here's the question though. Should we allow the mox to have no consequences? That's the real question. Now, if I were a discerning lad, what I think I would do is either require the Mox to sacrifice itself, make it a one shot, kind of like a Black Lotus, although that's really kind of gay. Or, ooh, I know what we can do. Um, we can, ooh, that's actually pretty dirty. Um, I have ideas, and one of the ideas is, um, above exhaust the Mox. The Mox does not ready. Or no, no. Here's what we're gonna do. That's the power exhaust the Mox. To ready, to ready or untap the Mox. Oh, no, no. Even better. Exhaust the Mox, add to your shade pool the amount of shade equal to your shade score for each dominion. When the Mox is readied, when the Mox is readied, roll a d6. Roll a d6 because we're throwing in games of chance here, and I'm honestly all about it. Um, Roll a d6 on a 1. And there's several ways that there are several directions you could go with this. When the Mox is ready, you could say the Mox automatically siphons from the realm, which would be devastating but fitting for the Shades of Dominion. You could say that when the Mox is ready, roll a d6, and on a 1, you could remove 2 sip levels from this player. You could You could go so many different directions, but the thing about making the Mox and the Shades of Dominion is it can't be free. That is the one rule. That is the one difference between the Shade and the Magic. That's the difference between using Shade and generating mana. That's the primary difference, and that's what this game is about. It's about shade management. It's about realizing that um, once you start using the shade, you have started a countdown to the destruction of the world that you're on. And the Mox, however, whatever iteration it's, it, it it goes, it has to have that feel to it. It's still a powerful freaking artifact. It's still one of the Power Nine. But for the Shades of Dominion, it's going to have a completely different aesthetic. And with that, I think we're going to end it on that cliffhanger. And I'm going to let you note in the comments how you think this spell should finish off, or not the spell, that this artifact should be finished off. Make it an adventure item, a quest item for the players at a future date. Anyways, guys, as once again, like, share, and subscribe. Please spread the word. This channel, this game does not have a Patreon. There is no subscribe star. It's just you watching this video and sharing with your friends what we're doing here. So I appreciate all of your support. Go throw some shade and have some fun. Bye bye.